Greetings, this is M Squared, and we are going to talk about 3 different ways to find the slope of a line. So one of the ways is a formula, one of the ways is from a graph, and one of the ways is from an equation. So we're going to use the formula first. We're going to find slope using this formula. Remember, this is x, this is y, x, y. The little subscripts, remember, just tell you which x and which y. So let's call that one x2 and y2, and this one x1, y1. It really doesn't matter. We could have made this one x1 and y1, and that one x2 and y2. But we need to make sure we know, because we always have to start with the same point. That's why it's important to know which one is your x2 and which one is your y2 and y1. So we're going to use our formula. I always tell people, write a fraction, put your negative signs down. So it's that fraction of those 2 negative signs, and then you just have to drop your y's in. So I'm going to drop my y's in on the top, because y's always go on the top. That's a common mistake students make. They put the y's in the bottom. And then I'm going to drop my x's in the bottom of the fraction. So 5 minus 7 is negative 2. 3 minus 1 is 2. So my slope is negative 1. Now on to this one. Again, I'm going to write my fraction, put my negative signs in so that my minus signs so that I don't get confused. I'm going to say 1 minus a negative 4, because this is where students get confused too. If you don't put that minus sign down first and then you see that negative, sometimes you think you don't need it, but it's a minus a negative 4. It's important. So we want to write it in there. And then 2 negatives, when I'm subtracting like that, make positives. So 1 plus 4 is what I have in the top, and 10 plus 5 is what I have in the bottom, and that equals a 1/3. So my slope there is a 1/3. Okay, on to the graphs. We're going to find the slope of line A, line B, line C, and line D. And this is important when we're trying to find out the slope of a line on a graph, because we want to make this little triangle. We find 2 points where they cross the vertical and horizontal grid lines, and then we count how many did I go up or down, how many did I go left or right. And from this point to this point, I went down 1, so I'll call that a negative 1, and over 3. And if I went right 3, this means positive, that means negative. So I went down 1, right 3. So the slope of line A is negative 1/3. The other thing you can keep in mind is that positive slopes always go up from left to right. Negative slopes always go down from left to right. So I know right away that's negative, that's positive. And then you have these guys where you have a 0 slope if it's a horizontal line, and when you have a vertical line, the slope is either undefined or we say no slope. It depends. Either way is usually acceptable. So line B then, because it doesn't go up or down, it just goes straight across. I know that my slope is 0. For C, I'm going to make my little triangle again. So I went up 2, right 1. Since I went up and right, those are both positive, so I know it's just 2 over 1. And I don't have to write the 2 over 1. I can just write 2. And then line D, like I said, is a vertical line, so we can say it's undefined, or we could say there's no slope. Either way. Okay, on to equations. The easiest way to find the slope, if you have an equation given to you, is to get y alone, because when y is alone, then m, the slope, remember m means slope, then m is right in front of x, the coefficient of x. So if y is alone, like it is here, that's my slope. M equals 3. The slope is not 3x. It is simply 3. It's the number in front of x. So that's another common mistake students make. Make sure you remember it's the number in front of x, not x. It does not include x. Okay, y isn't alone here, so I have to get y alone. So now I have 3y equals negative 2x plus 7. Y is still not alone, so I have to divide by 3, and right there is my slope. So the slope for this one is negative 2/3. And it really doesn't matter what this is, because I'm just asked right now to find slope. If I was asked to find my y-intercept, then that would be it. I just have an x equals lines. When you only have an x, that means it's a vertical line. This one has a y and no x. That means it's a horizontal line. Well, we just talked about x equals lines, vertical lines. The slope is undefined. And I'll abbreviate for that one. And over here, if it's just a y, I mean, I don't really need to simplify it. You could say y equals negative 4 when you divide both sides by 4, but you don't have to. If you just see that there's a y, then you know the slope is 0. So that's 3 different ways to find slopes. have fun with that. Sometimes one is easier than the other. Good luck. M squared, signing out.